Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Walkthrough Radio Show with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything today. NFL, NBA. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball, K-Walk, which you know is unusual for me. But what's going on today, man? How you doing?
All is well, man. All is well. Looking forward to another great one, Jay. I know we got this Wilmington championship that we keep peeking over to see what's going on there. Yeah, looking forward to a great one, Jay. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I know for our viewers watching on YouTube, when you see us kind of peeking off screen, we're just trying to keep our eyes on that on this tennis match here, the Wimbledon men's final, which is a great one so far. So a lot of stuff to get into, K-Walk, but let's start in the NFL, man. I guess the big news of the week was Baker Mayfield going to Carolina. Yes, we know they have Sam Darnold, but I don't know, man. When I think about it, I kind of feel like all things being equal, Baker's probably the better quarterback, in my opinion. Yeah. But what say you, K-Walk? I mean, how do you see this thing playing out, and what do you expect from Baker this year?
Yeah, just like you, Jay. I think Baker is the better of the two. You know, you got Sam Darnold there. Of course, you got PJ Walker. They drafted Matt Corral out of the young quarterback out of Ole Miss as well. So they got a plethora of quarterbacks there. It looks like to me, PJ Walker may be the odd man out in this scenario. Typical guy, TU guy, Matt Rule's guy is probably going to be out for sure. But I like Baker Mayfield being the starter. I think he's coming in there, and I think it's going to be a two-man race, if you will. And I think that Baker will ultimately win out. Nothing against Sam Darnold, but I just think it's a really good move for the Panthers, and it gives Baker Mayfield a new life, if you will. And one he wanted, and I think he really needs. I really think he needed to get out of Cleveland. That we can see some of the talent. I think he's a really good quarterback, really serviceable quarterback, Jay. To be honest with you, so I do expect not big things, but I do expect him to be a lot better than he was in Cleveland.
Yeah, man, I feel this. I feel the same way. I think a fresh start, a new start for Baker is going to be good for him. Yeah. He's one of those QBs, man. He's very polarizing. Either you like him or you don't. He's taken a lot of criticism. Some of it is a little self-imposed because, he doesn't always say and do and he kind of puts himself out there a little bit. But he was a number one pick, K-Walk. Do you feel like, I don't want to say, is this his last dance or his last opportunity? Because I do think there's always some opportunities to be a backup and things like that. But do you feel like he really needs to get this one right if he wants to be a starter in the NFL going forward?
Yeah, for sure, Jay, for sure. I mean, anytime that you asked out of a situation, you feel like you need a new a new venue, if you will, a change of scenery. And I think this is ultimately what he needs right now. And I think that he not only needs it for himself, but he needs it for his career as well, because of the fact of the matter is he's going to get other opportunities. There's going to be other opportunities out there where he's going to be a QB1. Let's just say this particular situation doesn't work out and Sam Darnold beats him out for the QB1 spot. There are going to be opportunities out there. Seattle right now is still in the hunt for a quarterback. And he could go elsewhere. I mean, Houston Texans. We don't even know what the name of their quarterbacks are. So that's another landing spot for him as well. Definitely to answer your question, I definitely think he has to get this right in order for his career to continue, because he's still young, Jay, and I really think he's a really good quarterback in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be one to keep our eyes on. But I'm kind of rooting. I mean, he's not a guy I root for or against, but I would like to see him do well just because of how things kind of went down in Cleveland. So hopefully things will work out all right for him in Carolina. All right, let's talk about another QB, K-Walk, not on a new team, but he's going to be sort of making his debut, so to speak. And that's your guy, man. Trey Lance, your 49ers. He's played in spots here and there, when Jimmy G was out. But it looks like they've turned the keys over to him, man. This is going to be his team going forward, or at least all signs are pointing in that direction. I think I read something this week where the great Jerry Rice came out and said he's behind this guy. Let's go, turn it over to Trey, and let's see what he can do. So my question is pretty simple, K-Walk. I mean, do you think he's ready? Do you think he's ready? Because this team, it's not like he's taken a below average team or just an average team that doesn't have any expectations. The 49ers have Super Bowl expectations. So in that context, is Trey ready, K-Walk?
Yeah, I think Trey is ready, and the reason why I say I think Trey is ready because Kyle Shanahan's, and John Lynch have, like to use your term, turned the keys over to him. I think he's that guy. They knew what they were getting by when they drafted him. They know where he's at now. They see his work ethic. And I'm hearing nothing but great things from, out of the 49ers camp, man. I'm following them on, social media, Twitter. I'm following them on their local radio station, everything. And I'm just hearing nothing but good things about this kid, this young man. You mentioned Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice, feels the same way. Everybody, all eyes are on Trey Lance right now. And I think that with the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is not there is allowing him to realize that, listen, okay, this is my team now. I have the keys to use your term. I have the keys to this thing. And I don't think Kyle Shanahan is going to put him in a situation where he's going to ask too much from him. You mentioned that the 49ers are a Super Bowl. They have Super Bowl aspirations. What they're going to do is they're going to put him in a situation where he can't mess it up. Anything else? I mean, if anything, he'll be a guy that will be able to propel them and not, derail them, if you will. So, I think he's ready, Jay. And I think we saw some glimpses of it last season, for sure. But right now, he has a new season. He has a season under his belt. He doesn't have to have Jimmy Garoppolo over his shoulder. So I definitely think he's ready, Jay, for sure.
Yeah, man, I think so much. And sometimes people get lost in this, but a lot of success depends on the organization that you're in, what you have around you, the structure. And the 49ers do it as well as anybody. I mean, they have a really good coach. John Lynch has exceeded expectations. I mean, I was critical of when they signed him years ago, but he's blown it out of the water. They have a great organization. They put together a great roster. So everything is in place for Trey to go out there and actually get it done. Okay, well, let me flip it this way. Take your analyst hat off, take your sports analyst hat off, and put your fan jersey on. Put the fan jersey back on. So as a 49ers fan, you know what you get with Jimmy G. You're going to get a solid quarterback that wins a lot of football games. Would you rather, just as a fan, say, you know what, give me Jimmy G because I know what I'm getting. I know he can get me to the big dance. We came up a little short, but I know he can get me there. Or would you rather venture into a little bit of the unknown with Trey? As a fan, which one would you rather do?
I do like Trey, man. I have to say I like Trey because of the fact I love Jimmy G. Everyone knows that. But with Trey, you get the same thing with you get with Jimmy Garoppolo. You just get a stronger, but however, you get a stronger arm. You get a guy who's willing to take that shot downfield. He's willing to win the game for you as opposed to not losing the game for you. I know that's what you want all of your quarterbacks to do, but at the same time, you want a superstar quarterback, who's going to be willing to take those big shots. Take those big, make those big throws, and take off when he has to. If the coverage is too much for the receiver to get out of there, and then the protection breaks down. You need a quarterback who's going to be able to extend the play, if you will, or extend the drive by using his legs. So with all that being said, I love Trey, man. I think he's going to do a really good job. I'm not going to put him in the top 5 or and anything like that right now, but I think he has the potential of being that type of quarterback. I think he has the potential of being like a Josh Allen type, Deshaun Watson type even. I think, I'm not putting him in that category just yet, but he has the potential to do that. So as a fan, Jay, I love it. We all love it in the Niner Nation, man. It's just we're just looking for that guy. We miss that guy that like a Colin Kaepernick, who can make plays with his legs as well as his arm.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a great point that he can give you everything Jimmy G gives you, but then he adds some other things
Yeah.
on. And sometimes I do agree. I think it's those little things that kind of can get you over the
Mhm.
hump, where if he makes a
Mhm.
big play with his legs or can scramble and keep a play alive a little bit
Right.
longer just to create some more opportunity, man. So that's going to be a fun one to watch because, like I
Yeah,
said,
for sure.
it's not like this is a team that's just experimenting with a quarterback hoping to
Exactly.
win
Right.
7 or 8 games. I mean,
Right.
the 49ers, they want to win this thing, man. So that's
Right.
gonna
Exactly.
be a whole lot of fun to keep our eyes on. All right, okay. Well, let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's jump over to the NBA. I mean, I've always kind of watched the summer league the last few years,
Yeah.
whatever. But this year, it just seems a lot more exciting for whatever reason. The
Yeah.
games are good. I'm watching it. I'm paying attention. A lot of young stars that are really playing pretty good basketball, man. We
Hmm.
know about all the Chet Holmgren, Bonchero's been really good.
Yeah.
Smith. I mean, all these high draft picks are out here playing decent ball. But which one, man? Is there a young player that has really kind of jumped off the page for you that you've been most impressed with?
Yeah, Jay, and that's the guy Max McClugan. I think that's I'm pronouncing his name correctly from Golden State. Man, I think
Yeah.
he is a really good young guy there, very quick, can shoot the ball. Can and he just makes plays, and he can get to the hole too as well. He can get to the basket as well. He has some one-on-one moves that will allow him to to do his thing, and with his ability to shoot, it'll allow him to, get that pump fake in there and then take it to the basket
Yeah.
or dribble, drive it, and shoot. I mean, I really like this young kid. Again, Max McClurgan, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, from Golden State. Also, I like Jay is Scottie Pippen Jr. From the Los Angeles
Yes.
Lakers. He's playing some really good ball as well. I know it's the summer league, but you want to see these type of performances from these young men in an environment like and like this. Obviously the competition is going to ramp up once the regular season starts, but you can see what they're capable of doing, and if you put them in the right situation, it can help your team out tremendously. So those two guys right now, again, Mac McClung and Scottie Pippen Jr. For sure. I know Pablo Ventura last night had a really good game. He had 23. He had the game-winning assist last night. That game went down to the wire. So I like him. Jaden Ivey as well. He went out with an ankle injury last night. He could have came back, but precautions, high pick. They decided not to bring him back. So those are some of the guys that are, those are the guys that are high picks are living up to the expectations. But those are other two guys that I mentioned are also making some noise, who kind of flew under the radar, if you will.
Yeah, man. No, you're right on it with those because McClung, like when you watch him, he looks different. Like he looks because some of the
Yeah,
summer league guys look like they belong in the summer league. You can
yeah,
tell. I don't
yeah,
know if they're quite
yeah,
ready for the
exactly.
NBA yet, but he
Right.
looks quick. He can shoot the ball, so he looks like he could be the real deal. And I agree about Scottie Pippen Jr. A little bit undersized at the guard position, but I
Yeah,
think he's a really good basketball player.
for sure.
Banchero, as you mentioned, man, I thought he was fantastic, especially yesterday because he has an
Yeah.
NBA body. He can
Hmm.
defend. He's like you said, he can bring the ball up the court. He had that game-winning assist yesterday. So
Yeah.
I really think he's on course to have a pretty good NBA career as well. What
Mm.
about Chet Holmgren, man? There's been a lot of talk about him. He kind of came out the gates, set the world on fire in that first game, but then it's kind of come back to earth since then. What are your thoughts on Chet, man? His body concerns me, K Walk. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
be honest, but what are your thoughts on Chet?
Yeah, I mean that's the first thing that comes into mind is his frames or lack thereof. I mean, when you talk about the frames, obviously we immediately talk about Kevin Durant and his performance in the first round against the Celtics. But yeah, I mean he came out and then everyone said he was projected to be the first round pick, the first overall pick, but that I didn't pan out, but. He came out and, like you said, Jay. I mean, he had high expectations and he lived up to that. But like you stated, it's starting to come down, and that's when you're gonna get a little concerned, Jay. If you're for that organization, because of the fact of the matter is Summer league, like you just mentioned, Jay, some of these guys look like they belong in the summer league, and his game right now looks like he belongs in the summer league. And you don't want him to digress; you want him to progress. So I don't, I don't know what we're going to get from this
Yeah,
guy, Jay. We I rather see him in the weight room more than I see him on the basketball court at this
yeah.
point, Jay, for sure, man. I mean, I know that they say lifting weights can affect your shot, can affect your game, but he needs to either get in the gym or get in the buffet line and hang out with Zion Williamson, to put some weight on there, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's crazy because I think skill wise he's okay. Like he can
Yeah.
handle it a little bit. He can certainly shoot it. He's proven to be a great shot blocker in the summer league. I mean, he's getting 2-3 blocks every single night. So I think all
Mhm.
those things are going to be there. But like
Yeah.
you, I don't know that that frame is going to hold up over the
Right.
course of an NBA season against a bunch of grown men playing against grown men
Right.
every single
Exactly.
night. I don't want to see anyone ever get hurt, but it just
Right.
worries me that he's that long and that lean, and his legs and ankles are always just going to be
Yeah.
kind of in the way. So I would
Right.
love to see him gain 10 or 15 pounds. I don't know if he can, but I would love to see him put a
Yeah.
little
Right.
bit of
Right.
weight on that frame. But I think skill wise, he certainly has an NBA game, but it's
Definitely.
going to be
Definitely.
really interesting to see how that thing plays out, K Walk.
For
Um,
sure. For sure.
let's talk a little bit, and this is obviously a story with a completely different tone. But Brittany
Mhm.
Griner, K Walk, as we're kind of on
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
basketball topics, well documented. We know she's in Russia. She's been there for quite some time. The court case started a couple of weeks ago. She did go ahead and plead guilty to the
Yeah.
charges that were levied against her. What does this mean for Brittany Griner, K Walk? I mean, you hear some people saying, well, that's kind of what she had to do in order to move
Right.
this thing forward. You're seeing some other people saying, look, I don't know if she's ever going to come back home. She could be facing
Right.
10 years in prison. What do you think this means for Brittany Griner, and how do you see this thing playing out?
You know what, Jay? I'm really hoping that she pled guilty because there's some type of deal on the table between both governments, between Russian government and United States government. I'm just hoping that's, she's getting the right advice there, to be honest with you. That's what I'm hoping for. What it ultimately means, if she pleaded guilty and she's still going through the trial, I don't understand how that works, to be honest with you. It just seems like anytime you plead guilty to something, a lesser charge, then there's a plea deal there. I mean, I don't understand how you plead guilty and still go to trial. I don't understand how that works. So, yeah, my legal hat is not that not that deep, but I'm really hoping, Jay, that it's something that they have in the works and it's going to get her home soon, real soon. I know one of our diplomats are going over to Russia, I
Yeah.
believe, to talk to the Russian government right now. The name escapes me. So that looks like it's good news. So I'm hoping that, something's going to be worked out. But to answer the question, Jay, I'm staying positive. I'm staying optimistic, man. She's coming home. This is going to work out for her. Biden's getting involved. Again, we don't know how much power Biden has, but we do have someone going over there on the behalf of for Brittany Griner, and she pleaded guilty. So with all that being done, Jay, I'm just saying, I'm going to say that she's going to be home real soon.
Yeah, man, I actually think this is going to work out. I saw too this morning that we are sending somebody over there to try to negotiate her release. I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't know that Russia's just going to let her go for nothing, right? I think probably
Right.
going to want
Exactly.
some kind of
Yeah.
swap or exchange or trade or something like that.
Right.
But I think that guilty plea was probably just part of the process. Russia, they're probably not going to let you say you didn't do anything wrong and go when
Right.
they think you did.
Right,
So you
exactly.
probably have to
Exactly.
you probably have to play the game and say, hey, I was guilty.
Yeah.
I meant no harm. I made a mistake, but yes, I did this in order
Mhm.
for them to look right. And then maybe they'll
Right.
be more willing to kind of facilitate some kind of trade, man. But I
Right.
can't imagine what she's going through, K Walk. That's got to be just a
Seriously,
very, very difficult situation. But like you
for
said, man,
sure.
hopefully she'll be coming home real soon. Good stuff there, K Walk. Let's go ahead and grab a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of baseball, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do that on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Walkthrough with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. You're listening to The Walkthrough with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. All right, K-Walk, look, you know I don't pay a whole lot of attention to baseball, but this year, for some reason, I haven't been able to escape it, man. I get in the car, I turn on some sports radio, they're talking baseball. I turn on ESPN, I'm seeing some baseball talk. I know there's a lot of good teams out there. I'm hearing about the Yankees. I'm hearing about the Mets. I'm hearing about the Atlanta Braves, the Dodgers. Like I said, I don't really follow it like that, K-Walk, but I do know that you're locked in. So my question is pretty simple, man. Who is the best team in baseball right now?
Right here, Jay. I mean, right here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching on YouTube, it's the New York Yankees, man. I mean, the record speaks for itself. I mean, there are 30 plus games, 30, I think it's 37, 38 games over 500 right now. There are like 8 teams out there who don't even have 38 wins, Jay. So this team right now is playing phenomenal baseball. They're hitting on all cylinders, pun intended. You know, they pretty much have everything. You know, they have the power. They're stealing bases. They have close to 60 those stolen bases on the year. So that's huge for the Yankees, because Yankees are usually known as the Bronx Bombers, which means that they generally want to hit the ball out of the park. But their starting pitching is phenomenal with Cole, with Nestor, with Severino, with Montgomery, and with Tyone as well. And then not mention that bullpen is the best in the game right now as far as an ERA standpoint goes. I know they lost a tough one last night against their rival, the Red Sox. But right now, this team right now, Jay, is they just have everything right now, you know, just locked in. They're a complete team right now. Hopefully everyone can stay healthy. Of course, that's always an issue. But right now they are locked in, and they can beat you in any different way. They can beat you in a slugfest. They can beat you in a pitching matchup as well, pitching duel, in every way, Jay. And I'm sounding like a fan, but at the same time, the numbers don't lie, for real. So the Yankees for sure.
Yeah, no, when you look at it, man, they're 62-24, I think, and you know, unless they've played another game since I looked at this, man. But yeah, they look like definitely the best team in baseball. Like you said, they're doing it in a lot of ways. It looks like Aaron Judge has had a resurgence as well. He looks like he's getting the ball out of the park a whole lot. So this team is definitely right there, and the record shows that they're the best team in baseball. Okay, Walker, is there one of these other teams that, you know, as a Yankees fan, is there a team out there that kind of worries you or concerns you that says, hey, man, I hope my Yankees don't have to see these guys? I heard something about the Houston Astros.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going.
55-29, but I think they beat the Yankees 3 out of 5. Is that the team that might be it, or is it someone else?
No, that's the team. That's the team I was thinking about, Jay. That's the one I had on my brain, and they are getting better as well, because the fact of the matter is their pitching is really good with Verlander there. You know, they have Altuve and those guys, and though we can still, you know, when he comes here, it's not a pretty sight. I'm not gonna say on air what they say to Altuve when he comes to the Bronx, but they have a really good team, Jay. They have a really good team, and they're getting better because their pitching is getting a lot better. But for sure, anytime that you have Houston, the Houston Astros led by Dusty Baker, man, I mean, you really have to be worrisome of that. No matter how well you're playing, you know, you could have the best record in the game. You could be hitting firing on all cylinders. But when Houston Astros come into town, or you go into Houston, it's very worrisome there, because they have a complete team as well, Jay. This is complete, if not more. But I think their pitching. Their starting pitches maybe just a little bit better than the Yankees, but I think the Yankees make up for it in the bullpen there.
Yeah, man, great stuff there, K. Well, this is definitely something I'm gonna kind of keep my eye on as we go forward. It's gonna be a heck of a baseball postseason this year too, man.
And shout out to the Braves, man. I know.
Yeah.
Shout out to your Braves down. I know you're not a Braves fan, you're not a baseball fan, but you're in Atlanta, and those Braves are playing really good baseball right now. The Mets had a huge lead, Jay. Right now, the Braves are playing outstanding baseball, and they've narrowed that gap tremendously. So that the Mets got to mind their P's and Q's, or they're going to lose that lead in the NL East for sure.
Yeah, man, that was one of the big stories down here. I think someone, a Mets person, a radio personality, like said that the division, it was over. Like, like about a month ago, he was like, "This thing is over. It's a wrap."
No.
And people down here on the radio are like, "Wait a minute, maybe he
Yeah.
said that prematurely." I got the Mets
Yeah.
at 53 and 32, and the Braves are
Yeah.
51 and 35, so they're right there in the
Yeah,
mix. So
right
it's
there.
going to be interesting to see how that thing plays out
Yeah.
as well. All right, K Walk, let me close out this segment with one last question, man, because we hear it all the time, right? Offense versus defense.
Yeah.
The saying when we were playing, offense wins games, defense wins
Defense
championships.
wins. Yeah.
Or,
Right.
or offense sells newspapers, but defense wins games. That's kind of always been the motto. But like when you look at the NFL, even if you look at the NBA, you feel like that might be starting to change a little bit, maybe, or maybe it's
Yeah.
just perception. I don't know. So I guess my question, K Walk, is let's keep it strictly to football. If you had to
Yeah.
choose, right? If you could be great on offense or great on defense, which direction would you go?
You know what, Jay? As an offensive guy, you would think I would pick the offense, but I'm going the other side of the ball. I just think that
Oh,
you have, in order to win a championship, you just mentioned you have to have a great defense. I mean, you could have an okay offense, but unless you have a great defense, you're just not going to be in the mix. You can outscore. I mean, you can go out there and try to outscore every opposition, but if you can't stop anyone, anything can happen on any given Sunday, even given Thursday, Monday, whenever they play. So give me a great defense over a really great offense for sure, Jay. I know that, as a receiver, former receiver, you would think I would go offense, but I love, especially watching my 49ers, man. I love when they play defense. I love when they get after the quarterback. You picking the ball off, you're creating turnovers. So give me a great defense over a great offense for sure, Jay.
yeah, K Walk. I as a receiver, I thought you were going to go offense. I really did. And when I was looking at it, just in my mind, I was like, you know what? Maybe the game's changing. Maybe offense really does rule the day. But then I just said, let me go back and look at some of the last 5 or 6 Super Bowl winners.
Yeah.
The Rams, yes, they have a good offense, but their defense is really what won them that Super Bowl. Even the Buccaneers with Tom Brady, the last couple,
Yes.
their defense really was the thing getting it done. The Eagles that year that Nick Foles took over, very good defensive team. So even looking at the Super Bowl winners, they haven't won it without a really good defense. We've seen teams like the Kansas City Chiefs lose not having a great defense. So
exactly.
I'm with you 100%, man. I still think in today's game, defense, if you have a great defense, it gives you a shot. So I would take the defense as well, man. But the good stuff there, K-Walk. All right, man, that's all the time I have. We're going to grab another break. When we come back, K-Walk's got some more great stuff to talk about. So stay with us. You're listening to The Walkthrough with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Walkthrough Radio Show with myself, Kevin Walker, alongside Jason Collins, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. That first segment was outstanding, Jay, as always. So great stuff. Got a chance to talk about my Yankees. I could have gone on and on about them, Jay, but great stuff for sure, man. Great stuff. I want to switch it back over to basketball, excuse me. And I want to talk about, we've been talking about the NBA free agency these last couple of weeks, Jay, for obvious reasons. I want to talk about 2 teams, in particular, reason being they were the 2 teams that were fighting for the Eastern Conference to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, to go to the NBA Finals. And I want to talk about the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. And right now, Jay, I want to talk about the Boston Celtics first. And excuse me. And right now, they haven't made too much noise. Either one of these teams haven't made it too much noise right now. I know it's still early in the summer right now, the off season. But what say you about the Boston Celtics? And how do you feel about this? What grade do you give them if you give them a grade? And where do you see they need to be improved to get to that next level?
You're right, K Walk. It doesn't seem like they've made a lot of noise. They certainly haven't been in the headlines, but I think what they've done has been really, really good. Signing Malcolm Brogdon, getting a point guard, which is something everyone said that they needed. I thought that was a great move. And they really didn't have to give up a whole lot to get him. It's not like they've had to give up a bunch of key pieces. And then getting Gallinari from Atlanta, that was also an excellent move. So even though I feel like they've been quiet, those two moves have been absolutely outstanding. Sometimes teams move around in free agency and trade pieces and do a bunch of stuff, and they don't really get any better. I think those two guys definitely make the Celtics better. So, and the fact that they could do it without really losing anything, I thought that was great. So I give the Celtics an A- for what they've done so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Jay. They made some sneaky moves that, you know, a lot of the headlines are, you know, actually focusing on, you know, where's Kevin Durant going to go? Where's Kyrie going to go? You know, things of that nature. And they quietly, you know, made some moves, some good moves there for sure. And they got a lot better, Jay. They got a lot. I don't want to say a lot better. I don't know how much better they could possibly get, but I think they got better for sure. And I think they made those little moves, if you will, to get him over, you know, possibly get him over the hump. So I'm going to go with you, Jay. I'm going to give him an A. You gave him an A-. I'll give him an A. I'll give him an A for sure, because I think these are sneaky moves, but necessary moves. Not a splash, but enough to make the waters ripple, if you will. So for sure. Next team is my Miami Heat, man. I'm really disappointed in the Miami Heat and what they have not done to this point. Yeah, they brought some key guys back. They signed Oladipo to a one-year deal. They brought Caleb Martin back as well. They brought Dedmon back as well. Those are key pieces. Don't get me wrong. But the losing PJ Tucker to me, especially not only losing it to who they lost him to, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. I think that really hurt them, man. So unless Pat Riley has something up his sleeve that we don't know as of right now, I don't like this team right now, presently constructed, Jay. What say you?
I agree with everything you just said, right? It doesn't feel like they've made any big splashes. Yes, we like the Caleb Martin re-signing. I do like the Victor Oladipo re-signing because he's only going to be better next year than he was this year, still kind of getting himself back into a rhythm coming off an injury. So I do like those signings, but there hasn't really been anything to really move the meter. But here's the saving grace for the Heat, K-Walk. They may have drafted a star. What is it? Nikola? Is it Jokic? Jovic? I don't know.
Jokic. Yes.
I don't know how you say his last name, but this kid, like, he looks like he could potentially be the real deal. K-Walk. So I think that could potentially be the saving grace for them. And you know, Miami's scouting department, I think they're the best, or at least one of the best in the league. They go and find players and draft players that some other teams overlook, and they end up being really good players. I think this kid is going to be one of them for the Heat. I gave him a B+, K-Walk, and the reason why is what you mentioned. I think losing PJ Tucker really, really hurts this team. And like you said, not just losing him, but losing him to an Eastern Conference rival, an Eastern Conference foe, another team that's going to be fighting to try to win the division. Like, that's a tough loss for the Heat. But this young kid, man, what I've seen of him in summer league so far, I like everything I've seen.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about him too much, Jay, because I didn't want to jinx him. When we talked about the superstars in the summer league, I left him out intentionally, Jay, because I didn't want it. But yeah, I do like don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I do love this young man. I mean, he's outstanding. He's a lot stronger than I thought he was. The jump shot is tremendous as well. He's a stretch for sure. And he's only 19 years old, Jay. That's the crazy part about it. He's only 19 years old. So I don't know if he's going to be a pawn in one of Pat Riley's schemes as far as getting, making a trade. There's rumors out there that Donovan Mitchell's going to be coming in, making a trade. And anytime you're going to make a trade for a guy like that or a guy like KD, you're going to lose possibly him, and you're going to lose possibly Tyler Hero as well. So, you don't want to, if you don't want to, cut off your nose to spite your face, if you will, but they do need to make some big time moves for sure. I think they really do. That PJ Tucker, I don't know how they're going to replace that. That's that guy. As much as I disliked him when he was with Milwaukee, it's the same reason why I loved him, because he's just tenacious on defense, and he'll get under your skin. He can hit that corner three for sure, man. So he's going to be missed, and it's going to hurt to see him in that Sixer uniform for sure. Even though he was only with the Heat for 1 year, but he was a big difference maker. So great stuff there, Jay. All right, Jay, let's switch gears here. Let's go to the go back to the NFL right now. And I want to talk about we mentioned Baker Mayfield, and earlier in your segment we talked about him in the trade to Carolina. Now, what does this mean for Jimmy G, Jay? Because of the fact of the matter is Jimmy G he's still coming off of that shoulder injury, that's surgery, excuse me. He is scheduled. I think he's been thrown. No, I think he's scheduled to throw next week. What does this mean? Do you see him being traded to the from the 49ers? Because he seemed like he would be a better fit in Carolina. You would think that he would be traded before Baker Mayfield. So with all that being said, I got 3 questions for you, Jay. Will the 49ers keep him? Will they release him, or will they trade him? Where do you see Jimmy G at?
Man, that's a good one. I don't think they're going to keep him. I just don't think they can. If you're really ready to go all in on Trey, I think not having Jimmy G in the shadows is going to be better for Trey. So I don't think they can keep him. The problem with the trade is, can you really get the correct value for Jimmy G? Coming off of an injury, teams are going to use that. He's kind of just starting to throw and get back in the groove. So I don't know that if you just flat out trade him, what are you going to really get back? We'll see. I've read something this weekend saying that maybe they would just release him out of respect. Like, he wants to go, and instead of trading him somewhere that he really doesn't want to be, that maybe they would just release him out of respect for Jimmy G and what he's done for them, and just kind of let him go. So that might be an option as well, K-Walk. Here's the thing. I think you're right. The Texans and the Browns, the Panthers, those are obvious choices if they were going to do some kind of trade. Because if he gets released, though, K-Walk, keep an eye on the division rival in the Seattle Seahawks. You got to keep your eye on Seattle. They're not going to trade him to Seattle. I don't think they will.
Not at all.
But if out of respect, they just let him walk out of the door, I think Seattle would be the first team to jump in and grab him. So
for sure.
I don't know where he's going to end up, K-Walk, but I'm going to say Seattle, and then, possibly the Houston, Texas, are 2 teams that have to be right there in the forefront.
Right. Yeah, Jay. I mean, I think they have to trade him. I'm not saying they will, but I think they have to trade him because, like you stated, if they release him, he can end up in Seattle, and that can turn around biting him. And you know what? Now keeping him, I don't think that's an option. I just threw that in there as for the sake of the show. I don't think that's an option right there, but just for conversation purposes, I threw that in there. But I think I think he has to be traded, Jay. And you mentioned 2 teams. You mentioned the Browns. I think that's a good spot for him. I know Jacoby Brissett is scheduled to be that bridge quarterback, or that quarterback until Deshaun Watson gets the okay to play, whenever that may be. That may be halfway through the season, or that may be next season. We don't know as of yet. It's still the jury's still out on that one. But I think Jimmy G is a better fit than Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion. I know he's coming off that shoulder injury, but I think that That might be a good look for him as well. But Houston, I think that might be a better fit. I think he just goes in there and just becomes QB1, because like we mentioned earlier, we don't even know these guys who are
Nope.
scheduled to be QB1, QB2, whoever the case may be in Houston. So that might be a good look too. I think they are better off trading him. They get something back for him, kind of like what Baker Mayfield did. You get a conditional fifth round pick, fourth round pick, whatever the case may be. If he plays 75%, they starts 75% of the games, what have you, you get a fourth round pick or whatever the case may be. They may have to take on some of his contract too, because he is due $26 million this season. So that may
Yeah.
be part of the deal as well, because I know that's what Cleveland is doing as well with and Panthers. I think Cleveland's playing like 10 million of his contract, and I think Carolina's paying like 5 million, whatever the number is. But nonetheless, Cleveland's playing a majority of his contract. Yeah, so I hope he doesn't get released, Chad, because I think, like you stated, the first team is going to scoop him up is going to be the Seattle
Yep.
Seahawks, man. I mean, it could be a good thing and a bad thing, because of the fact of the matter is the bad thing would be, Jimmy G knows our defense. But the good thing is our defense knows Jimmy G,
Yeah.
so it all
Yeah.
depends on how you look at it as well. So yeah, I see him being traded, Jay, and I hope they get it done soon, because of the fact of the matter is, love Jimmy G, but I'm tired of talking about where he's going to go and where things of that nature. So love the guy, don't get me wrong. All right, Jay. Staying on the 49er talk, man. We have actually, let's grab our next break here, Jay. When we come back, I
Okay.
want to talk about Debo's contract. Debo's contract, what it means. They haven't re-signed him yet. They haven't extended him as of yet. We have that the extension, or the Christian Kirk deal with the Jaguars, and how that set the market, and also McLaren from the Commanders as well, and what that means for Debo. We're definitely going to talk about that. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into the Walkthrough Radio Show with myself, Kevin Walker, alongside Jason Collins, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Walkthrough Radio Show with myself, Kevin Walker, alongside Jason Collins, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. Before the break, we were talking NBA, talking Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, talking Jimmy G as well. I want to stay on the NFL talk and kind of stay on the 49er talk as well. And I want to talk about Debo, Jay. Again, Christian Kirk signed that huge deal. Christian Kirk was not the number one receiver on his team last year in Carolina. I mean, with the Cardinals. Now he's got one of the biggest contracts as a receiver in the NFL, Jay. What say you about this deal? And also McLaren from the Commanders also signed a huge extension as well. Debo's out there. He's upset. We know Debo's a little upset. What does this mean for Debo, and what type of money do you see Debo getting based off of these two contracts?
Hey man, if I'm Debo, I am upset. I mean, because
Right?
if these guys didn't sign these contracts, they wouldn't even be a talking point. It's not like
Seriously, right?
guys that you like when you start writing receivers' names down. These guys aren't at the top of your mind. So the fact that I think Kirk got 4 years, 72 million, McLaren 3 years, 70 million. If I'm Debo, I'm thinking, okay, well, I got to be better than that. I've got to be more than that. So I think for Debo, or at least what they're talking about, is somewhere in that 23 to 24 million dollars a year range. K-Walk, that like 4 years, 96 million dollars, something like that. That sounds like a lot of money. That sounds like a lot of money, but I do think Debo brings a lot of value. We know he's a great receiver, but he also gives you some stuff out of the backfield and things like that.
For sure.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know, that's just a lot. That's a lot. And maybe, if that's what the market is, that's what the market is. I want Debo to get his money. But man, I think that's going to be the going rate, man, somewhere in that 23, $24 million a year range.
Yeah, Jay, I have to agree, man. I mean, I just think that, Christian Kirk and those guys set the market, man. And Debo's is sitting back and pretty much salivating, if you will, because I know he knows he's going to get the money. He knows the 49ers are going to pay. It's just a matter of when. And I would like
Yeah,
to know when, because the sooner you give this guy his money, the sooner that you can, expect him to be there and be there full and be there 100% focused, because he was in minicamp, but he didn't participate. He showed up, Jay, but he didn't really
right.
participate in minicamp. To be honest with you, in the OTAs, for sure. But I think you should give them some money. I don't know how much of this is we're waiting for us to see what Jimmy G goes or what they do with Jimmy G, because again, that relieves $26 million off of the salary cap, and that could be the 26. Then that can be the money that you can ultimately pay to Debo, but also lurking too as well is Nick Bosa. But that's, you can worry about him later. But right now, Debo is that guy, man. And I think that you have to pay him, 23, 24, 25 million a year with, what, 60 million. I don't know what you guarantee.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works, but the market says that he needs his money, man. He deserved this money. He's one of the first, he's only receiver to score at 8 rushing touchdowns or whatever the number is. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's one of the first receivers, with the rushing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns in the same year. I mean, he's better than Jerry Rice, better than some of the, you mentioned, go down a list. He's the only one to do what he did last season. So it definitely warrants, his work definitely warrants that. And especially like you mentioned, they use him in so many different ways, not just as a receiver, but as a running back. And in that Panthers game, Packers game, they used him as a kick returner. So you
yeah,
got to pay that man. You got to pay that
yeah,
man. If you expect him to do all that and get you over that hump, you got to pay him. So I definitely think, whatever he asks for, he deserves, plus a little bit more, in my opinion. Just to
yeah,
say, hey, listen, man, we appreciate your services. You know what I mean? Because like you mentioned, Jay, these two guys that we mentioned, Kirk and McLaren, you can name like 15, 20 receivers before you get to those guys,
yeah,
for sure, man.
yeah.
For sure. All right, man. Let's stay on the NFL talk, and then let's switch gears. Let's talk about your Dallas Cowboys. I say that, man. I got to get used to saying that. Your
Yes,
Dallas
yes,
Cowboys. And I
yes.
want to talk about Ezekiel Elliott, man. Ezekiel Elliott is coming in, and he's looking great, man. He's looking in really good shape. He's cut a lot of fat down. He's just looking outstanding, man. But let me ask you this: no matter what, Jay, do you see this being Ezekiel Elliott's last season with the Cowboys? Because right now he's due a lot of money, but when we know the life shelf of a running back in the NFL,
Yeah.
it's usually around 26, 27 years old. But what say you about this?
Now, that's a great question, K Walt, because he hasn't been super productive over the last couple of years. It does look like he's in shape, that he's ready to go this year. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm kind of wondering, well, is he doing all this just because he knows that this contract thing is going to get interesting? And can I really count and rely on him over the next several years? So I don't know. I don't want to say it's going to be his last year as the Cowboys. I think the way that he plays this year is going to have something to do with that. But
Yeah,
we do know they like Pollard. They certainly like Pollard
yeah,
kind of as a 1-2 punch. And I think they might feel like, especially if Zeke is just okay this year, they probably feel like maybe we could go find that production somewhere else for a lot less money. So I think it's going to depend on how well he does. I just don't know if he's going to stay healthy, man. Like he's kind of been
yeah.
nicked up and banged up the last few years, and I just don't know that he's going to stay healthy, K Walk. So I'm going to
Yeah.
say it depends. Like if he has a
Okay.
fantastic year, breakout year, I think he'll be around. But if he just does okay, I think the Cowboys could justify moving off of him.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that Jay, I think he'll stay healthy, because I think he'll stay healthy for one reason. And then you mentioned his name, Pollard. Pollard is going to relieve him. They're going to go to a change of pace.
Yeah,
He may be sharing time with Ezekiel Elliott. So when Ezekiel Elliott gets those carries, man, and those touches, if you will, he's got to make the most of them, and they got to be dynamic, because for him, it's got to be quality touches, not necessarily, excuse me, quantity of touches. That's he's when he gets that, he's got to make it happen, Jay, because if he's
yeah,
just okay, yeah, I agree with you with that contract. He's got to be better than okay in order for, I think, for Jerry Jones and those guys to stick with him, because that's a massive contract, man. And that offensive line is not the offensive line that we're used to seeing in the last few
Nope.
years, the last 5, 6 years. So it's going to be rough for him, and especially with that line that not being what it was, and splitting time, if you will, with Pollard. I don't see him having a huge year, and I'm not taking him this year like I did in the last 2 years in my fantasy leagues. I'm not taking him. I'm not taking him. But yeah, man. But yeah, I see him. I see them moving on from him, Jay. I really do see him. This being his last season with the
I could see
Cowboys,
that.
for
I could
sure.
see that.
Yeah. All right, Jay, what we're going to do here is we got about 6 minutes here. Let's jump into our who would you take segment. I
Okay.
sent you a couple of guys here. I sent you through that, text, obviously. So you had your chance. I know both of these are your guys now, but one more so than the other. And let's stay with Ezekiel Elliott talk. Let's stay with Ezekiel Elliott. So who would you take this upcoming season? Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, man, you really did it to me on this one. I love Saquon. Going back to Penn State, Saquon is so explosive. He's a home run hitter. He can change the bulbs on a scoreboard in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah,
but the thing that has always bothered me about him is he gets hurt all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that
you always say that
that ankle injury last year, that was so fluky. Like, that could only happen to Saquon. So if you're asking me who would I take this year, I think you alluded to it. Zeke is in better shape. He looks like he's ready to go. He's going to get quality touches. He can split time with Pollard. He's probably has a better chance to stay healthy. As much as I hate to do it, I got to take Zeke just because I don't know how available Saquon's going to be.
Right. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, it's so funny. It's not funny, but when he first came out in the draft, and you and I were doing the show, years ago when he first came out, first thing you said, like, look, I don't know if this guy is going to stay healthy. I don't know. And you said that before he came out, before he was even drafted, and you stayed on top of that. And it came, I don't know if it came to fruition, but you were right. I mean, you obviously had the inside scoop on that. So good call there.
Yeah.
All right, next one. This is upcoming year. This is for this 2022 season. We got Tom Brady and we got Patrick Mahomes. Who would you take?
Man, if we're just talking about this upcoming season, I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes, man. Look, Brady's been great. We know everything that he's done, but at some point, he's got to start. The wheels have to start falling off, right? So I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm going to hedge my bet that this is going to be the year that we finally start seeing some cracks in Tom Brady and those tires get a little bit flat. And I think Mahomes has a lot to prove. People are saying, can he do it without Tyreek Hill? What's it going to look like?
Great
so
call.
I think Mahomes feels like he's got a lot to prove. So I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes for this year.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, next one, Jay. Staying on your Cowboys, man. Staying with your Cowboys. The Cowboy theme today for some reason or another. But we got again, this is for this 2022 season. We got CeeDee Lamb from the Cowboys, and we got Devontae Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles. Who would you take?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. But I'm going to take CD. I think he's ready to break out. He's the new number one now. I think he's poised to have a great year. And I think the guy throwing him the ball is better. Like, give me Dak over Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to take CD.
All right, cool. All right, Jay, let's jump right into our start bench cut segment here. And I'm going to stay again. This is a Cowboy theme today. We got Princess Cooper. I know she's out there listening. So, and you're newly pledged your allegiance to the Cowboys. So we got the best rivalries of the Cowboys right now. Start bench cut. You got the Cowboys versus the Giants. You got the Cowboys versus the Eagles, or you got the Cowboys versus the 49ers. Start bench cut.
Man. I'm going to start, even though it's out of division, I'm going to start the Cowboys and the 49ers. because usually when they play, like if they play for something, it might be for like an NFC championship or a big playoff game or something like that. So sometimes the stakes are higher than just a normal regular season division game. So I'm going to start the Cowboys and the 49ers. I'm going to bench Cowboys Eagles, and I will cut Cowboys Giants.
Yeah, I have to go with you there. I'm agree with you on that one as well. All right. Next one, Jay. This is it's a little boxing. We don't talk boxing too much, but this is rivalry. This is a rivalry start bench. Oh, you definitely do, Jay. You definitely do.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that to you. I know you. I know you do. So we got Ali Frazier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We got Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran.
Ooh.
And we got the late great marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns, Thomas the Hitman Hearns. Start bench.
Oh man. I gotta start Ali Frazier. You gotta start Ali.
Okay.
You just can't not. I'm gonna bench Sugar Ray and Roberto Duran just because of no mas. So I gotta bench
exactly.
that. And then we'll cut marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas the Hitman Hearns, or like Martin says, the Get Hit Man.
Get Hit Man. Awesome stuff, Jay. Awesome stuff. All right, I say this one last for purpose, for obvious reasons, Jay. All right, this is Penn State rivals, man. Penn State rivals.
Here we go.
We're talking strictly football. You got Penn State versus Michigan. You got Penn State versus Ohio State, and you got Penn State versus Wisconsin. Start bench cut.
I'm gonna do this for selfish reasons, K-Walk. I'm gonna start Penn State, Wisconsin, because I don't think they can beat us. And I'm gonna bench Penn State, Michigan, because we can beat them too. We haven't been able to beat Ohio State, man. So I'm cutting that rivalry because it hasn't really been much of a rivalry. They've beaten us probably 10 out of the last 12. So it hasn't really been much of a rivalry. So I got to cut that thing.
All right, good stuff. I knew you were going to throw the selfish reasons in there. That's why I picked those three teams, Jay. All right, good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time that we have. Another great one in the books, Jay, for sure. As always, I want to leave you guys with something. This week, I want to leave you with this. When you feel like quitting, think about why you started. For myself, Kevin Walker, alongside Jason Collins, right here on the Walkthrough Radio Show with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins. God willing, we'll talk to you next week.